The internet is kind of an aleph. It doesn't tell us the future very well, or I'd be a much wealthier man. But it does let us look into just about everything that's going on, everything that's happened in the past, and this is the first time in all of humankind that was available. Before now, before the last 10, 15 years, since this internet thing got established, whether it's a virus or a panacea, before it got established, it was impossible for an ordinary person to walk out into the world and leave something for everybody else to see. Mind you, 2/3 of the population of the world can't get on the net regularly, so there's a divide there. But the rest of the people on the net can find this thing because search engines go and search it and index it and so forth, and all of a sudden I can walk away from my document or my song or my painting or my software, and other people can now use it, riff on it, improve it, make things of their own with it. This was never possible through all of history. So when I say we're in the middle of a 30-year cycle where the technology we're using, all the stuff that you are selling, that we use also from other vendors like Facebook and Twitter, this is going to be really different in 30 years, and it's all part of an even larger shift, which is a mental shift toward abundance instead of scarcity. And I was taught, I went to business school, you want to create scarce resources, and that's where the profits are. Scarcity equals value. That equation, throw it out the window. There's a lot of equations that are being deeply undermined by what's going on right now. Now, what happens when you have a big change? Virginia Satir, a noted family systems therapist, has the Satir change model that basically says that when your belief system or your life is going along a particular vector and something hits it, you have sort of this huge oscillation that occurs. You have a reaction, then you have a negative reaction, then you come back, and if the change is really big enough, you end up in a completely different direction with a different belief system or a different set of values, whatever it might be. But that's what's happening to us now. So we're going through these waves, these oscillating waves that aren't very well dampened. So there's backlash, and then there's suddenly we're all giddy that, oh, this is going to be the panacea. Again, remember, Model T phase, you still need to know how to open the hood in the car, find the carburetor, turn the crank, remove the battery yourself, take gloves. It's going to be difficult. And we were in a session today with Interactive Media where just setting up a multi-party video conference with audio that worked was a challenge. What's up? We're 20 years into PCs, 10 years into this internet thing. What's up that is so hard to do, right? So we got a long ways to go here. So this change turns into excess, turns into addictive behaviors. I totally get it. I mean, I'm sorry. Since the beginning of recorded human life and since before we made cave paintings with our hands, no human has been able to leave stuff out in the world for others to use, and this is not going to lead to addictive behavior? Damn straight it's going to, right? So in Japan, and this is not directly associated with technology, but technology facilitates it, there's a whole subculture called hikikomori. These are shut-ins. These are 30-year-olds, mostly men, young men, who haven't left home, and basically mother feeds them under the door or through the door, and they just don't go out. They're embarrassed to go out. So there's all sorts of different subcultures in the world where young Korean men sit in PC cafes and fall over dead because they've played too much of a game. There's going to be that sort of stuff going on. But again, you can reach into all of culture. You can now go on YouTube and look for some old... I did not know a week ago that All in the Family, one of the most famous American situation comedies, was based on a British show. I had no idea that it was effectively an American spin-off of a British show, whose name is I'll Love You Forever, I'll Love You Every Day. What was it called? There's a lot of Brits in the audience. Look it up on Wikipedia for me while I'm talking. Okay, so I had no idea, but it's out there, and it's out there for us not just to read, but to contribute, improve, and that's part of the benefit of what's going on through this big change. So, one thing that hasn't been invented so far is the Do Not Disturb button. Okay? We're really good at pouring on new media and making it come faster and increasing the volume and increasing the frequency. We're really bad at having one big red button that says, I could use a couple days of peace and quiet. I could use a setting that turns off, that takes messages on my phone, that does all these things for me in the background peacefully so that everybody who might be trying to reach me is handled well and I actually have some still time. We haven't learned how to control our impulses around this. We don't know what self-control means here. We need Zen courses in computing and cell phone usage and so forth. We need to be able to address these things, but we haven't gotten there yet. We're in the Model T phase. It's exciting. Don't forget that it's exciting. So think for a moment that this little device on the table here isn't just a typewriter. It's a a printing press, it's a music studio, it's a video editing studio, it's a home theater, think of the applications you use, think of the applications your children use. This thing can do all those things, and this little guy in my pocket can do half of those and then 50% more of other stuff that the big one can't do because it doesn't know where I am and that I'm in motion, right? And we're still in the Model T phase. That's craziness. So in eras where there was very democratic technology like the bow and arrow, you tended to get democratic institutions of governance. When you have F-16 fighters and nuclear bombs, which require governments, you tend to get governments that sort of take over control. This is very democratizing, and it's going to change how we see each other. We're heading, if I can be really optimistic here, toward some sort of global brain. We're busy weaving a global brain. So when somebody throws a sheep at you on Facebook, or forwards you a little email of, I thought you'd be interested in this article, or follows you on Twitter and starts to see what you're saying, those are all like little dendrites. And instead of being dendrites forming inside one little cranium, they're actually dendrites forming inside the human body of people, not just knowledge. This isn't about an encyclopedia or about books. This is about us wiring ourselves to one another. And neurons that fire together wire together, so we kind of tend to follow things. And again, there's danger here as well as positive. It could be that the majority of us decide to cocoon, to go toward people who think like us, who are like us, and never try to listen to anybody else. It could also be, if you look at small worlds theory, which is some of the social network theory, that even if you have a very isolated group, let's say these were Fiji Islanders, if one of them were connected out in some way, had a pen pal somewhere, they're all connected. The degrees of separation have suddenly collapsed, and whatever that one person who's very connected knows begins to spread through the group. So I'm not sure that these different communities can wall themselves off from society as a whole. So I'm pretty optimistic that in the long run, the genie can't be put back in the bottle. Remember, when TV first came out, it was going to transform education. For every one of the technologies we take for granted now that have been walled off from us by things like the Federal Communications Commission and so forth, I think the internet might actually survive those efforts. So, and I've probably gone past my time, but I don't think we're losing our literary past. I think we're not only able now to reconnect with it at will, talk about it at will, but we're beginning to invent a whole new form of literacy. I will recommend to you a YouTube video called An Anthropological Introduction to YouTube by Michael Wesch from the University of Kansas. He and his students put it together. It's an hour-long tour of fads and trends on YouTube. And it'll give you a taste of what is happening to culture and how people are now looking at everything that's out there as raw material to remix and reuse in really interesting and powerful ways, and how as they do that with each other, it's really cool. It's really fun. They have a great time. They feel more connected to one another. And I do bemoan some loss of face-to-face activity, but if you're in college in the US and you're not on Facebook, you don't get to go to the next party because that's where the invite is. Right? So people are getting together in face-to-face through all this technological medium. So if you want to see what's happening as we start losing this notion of control, and I disagree with my honorable panelist colleague here in that I don't think that we need to actually control access for children. We actually need to help our children grow into the medium and understand self-control and begin to realize that they are fully capable, healthy humans, and if you want to see where this is all going, go look at unschooling, go look at the DIY, the do-it-yourself movement, or maker movement. Go look at open educational resources, which I'm sure you're all very aware of. Go look at participatory medicine with people with very difficult chronic conditions, get together and share intimate data. We are weaving a global brain, and it's a very exciting time to be alive. Thank you.